on kind of, excuse me, I guess it's recording. Wanted to give a quick rundown of our business and what we do and kind of how we do it. But I think it's important to note that we started Purpose Jobs about 5 years ago. And essentially it was all about how do we build the Ann Arbor and Detroit startup community. I think pre-pandemic and when we started about 5 years ago, there's always been this special sense of community. It really doesn't make a difference which business you're in, but I think every single person here and every single person in the ecosystem wants the community to be successful, not only just for themselves individually, but for the region in specific. And so we started building the community. And how did we do that? We started throwing events, we started writing blog posts, we started doing videos and all different types of activity just to give awareness to what's happening in Southeast Michigan, in Detroit and Ann Arbor. But what we noticed when we started the business is what's happening in Detroit and Ann Arbor. It's actually interesting. It's the same thing is happening in Columbus, in Indianapolis, in Minnesota, in a variety of other cities, specifically in the Midwest. And so for the last 5 years, we've been really focused on how do we tie all of these threads together and build one of the largest kind of startup and tech communities in the Midwest. And so that's essentially what we've done. And if you can see my screen showing you kind of how we do it and kind of really focusing on some of the companies that are hiring, from Root Insurance, which is based in Columbus, Work at Health, which is based in your guys' backyard in Ann Arbor, Finite State, Dynatrace. And I'll tell you an interesting story about Dynatrace. It is what we've noticed is a lot of our business in our community is actually now from New York and San Francisco companies. I think one of the things about COVID, obviously super terrible for a lot of people, but it's been, I would say, helpful in elevating and shining a light on what's happening here in the middle of the country. And so part of our community, so to give some specific numbers, we have about 50,000 members a part of our community, and 30% of those people are actually living in coastal cities, just kind of standing on the sideline, wanting to hear what's happening more about Ann Arbor, Columbus, Cincinnati, and all the Midwest cities that we work in and what's happening. And so one, there's more job opportunities for job seekers, and two, there's more companies hiring here in the Midwest. And so something else that we wanted to focus on, and I'm on our homepage here, is we really focus on news and kind of guides and what's happening here in the Midwest. So we focus on non-technical jobs. We just launched this today about Purpose Awards, about who's, who are the movers and shakers in the community. And then we'll touch on this in a second. There's a new era of benefits now that so many people are working remotely. Like, it's not just about compensation. It's not just, well, it was never about a Slurpee machine. There's real benefits that candidates care about. And so that's what we've been really focused on in building this, Midwest community through salaries, cost of living comparisons. And here are the 9 markets that we operate in. So how do we tell the stories? Part of the examples that I was sharing before, which COVID has really accelerated, is like this thought of like new benefits. And so what do candidates value? We just surveyed about our whole entire community, about 50,000 job seekers. And the big things that people cared about were work-life balance, flexibility, purpose, a sense of belonging. And those are the things that we've heard that I think have shifted over the last, I would say 18 months, 2 years, now that we're kind of in this, I don't want to call it post-COVID era, but now that we're on the tail end of it, people are thinking about their job in a much different way. And so here's a blog post where we're highlighting those specific attributes that talent care about. And we're also highlighting specific companies that meet these kind of benefits. Another way that we spotlight our community and really highlight what's happening here in the Midwest is through thought leadership articles. And so Brian is the CTO of a company called Beam Dental in Columbus. And what he is doing right here is he's talking about this playbook of how he was originally from San Francisco, moved to the Midwest because he noticed that there was really big opportunities to start a company here. And so he talks about some of the VCs that he worked with, Drive Capital. He talks about cost of living. He talks about how it's changed from an innovation hub, from an IT hub to an innovation hub, how you're, kind of this bigger fish in the pond here in the Midwest. And so for us, what we like to do is no one really cares what we write, but we like to highlight our members. We like to highlight our companies and everything that's going on. And at the end of the day, what we're really trying to do is build a brand that people care about, because, in Dice, D, Monster, a lot of these companies are very transactional. And for us, it's about building a long-term relationship, whether you're looking for a job or not. A few other examples that I want to share, and then I will pause, is we also share a ton about funding. Now, so here's a company in Chicago, Halo, that raised about $40 million in talking about their product market fit and what they have done. And so candidates, also just known as humans, love learning about funding news and things that are happening in the Midwest. Here is the last thing that I want to show today about how companies display themselves on purpose jobs. So you have nice photos, you have a brief overview and what they're doing, some jobs on the right-hand side, but we also have specific attributes. So why work at Root? Root is an insurance company based in Columbus, and we talk about everything that they do, from professional growth, DE&I, culture and climate, and things like that. And so when a job seeker or an individual is looking for a job on purpose jobs, yes, they can filter and find companies that meet their role, that also meet their compensation, but you can also filter and find someone that really matches with you on a deeper level. And so our belief is that we're building matching technology to really match you on a deeper level, compared to just kind of that high level stuff between compensation, location, and skill set. And then also we have videos that they're employee generated videos where you can talk about, hey, here's Byron talks about, here's what it's a day in a life to work at Root, and all of that good stuff. And so this is essentially what we do. At the end of the day, one of the themes, and I'm going to stop sharing for a second, one of the themes that we really believe in is that let's invest in the things that will never go out of style. And our belief is if you match people on a deeper level, yes, there's AI, there's big data, there's all these amazing technologies that are moving the world forward, but we believe still a human to human relationship, human to company relationship is super important. And if you want to really match people on a deeper level, you really need to get a little bit deeper than compensation, locations, and skill set. So just want to say thank you for having me today. And again, happy to answer any questions. And yeah, excited to be here this Tuesday night. Cool. Any questions? Cool. Well, if not, I appreciate it. I will also, I'll put this in the chat right here. And also just give it to you because I know some people are also in the room, is my email address is Ryan, R-Y-A-N, at purpose.jobs. You can also visit us at purpose.jobs. And so if you're looking for a job, you're looking to hire, you're also just looking to get like a general sense of, what's happening. I'm happy to help just connect. There's a lot of amazing things, yes, that are happening in Ann Arbor, but also in the Midwest. Cool. Someone asked me a question from Roger saying, how do you make money? So happy to answer that question. So we built this community. That is the goal of what we do. We don't make money from job seekers. We make money from employers. It is a yearly subscription, and companies pay us to do two things. One, for us to help them tell their story. So think about employer branding, and we help write stories for them. And then we also have a hiring platform where they can post their jobs and connect with candidates directly. But it's a yearly subscription. We don't charge placement fees or anything like that. So Roger, I hope that answered your question. Cool. We got a good thumbs up there. Any other questions? Cool. Well, if not, great seeing everyone tonight. And again, feel free, Ryan at purpose.jobs, feel free to reach out at any time. Happy to help connect you to companies, to our company individually, and however we can help. We're all about building this ecosystem and community here in the Midwest. So thanks again.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
I do have a question for you.
Oh, perfect.
You can come up here, or you can just say it and I can repeat it. Yeah, do you have any traction metrics that you can present, or that they present on the site or to the people who have subscriptions?
Yeah, great question. And so I'll tell you the number. So there's a lot of metrics that I'm happy to share, but I'll tell you the number one metric that we measure on a daily basis, because I think this really, I don't want to say validates what we're doing, but how we're connecting people on a deeper level. So yes, we are run a recruiting marketplace, and we are trying to get people hired, and we are trying to make matches. But the thing that we actually measure is, so it's not like, hey, Duo Security, come to us and hire as many people as possible. It's yes, hire a shit ton of people from us, but at the same time, we want to make sure those people retain and stay at your company. So we have about a 93% retention rate. And so what that means, if we place a candidate at Duo Security or at any of the companies that we work with about 250 companies across the Midwest, there's a 93% chance that candidate or individual will stay there for over 2 years. And so, yes, we do have placement metrics, we do have compensation metrics, we have all types of metrics, but I really believe retention is the number one metric that we kind of focus on from a day-to-day perspective, because everything that I said earlier was all about matching people on a deeper level. And if you really care about your company, typically you'll stay there. So again, and I hope this is answering the question, the number one metric that we measure is retention, and it's about 93% over 2 years. Cool. Any other questions? Cool. Again, thanks for having me tonight. Feel free to reach out at any time, and yeah, just appreciate the support and appreciate being here tonight.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for presenting tonight. Wish you were here with us, but it was great to kind of see you walk through Purpose Jobs and helping people find a job that they can really enjoy and actually want to stay and do. So with that, we'll move on to our next presenter, Jordan Shamir, who is the founder of BotNot. BotNot empowers retailers to increase brand affinity and customer loyalty by prioritizing loyal customers over resellers and bots. So with that introduction, please welcome Jordan.
Awesome. Can you all hear me? Awesome. Thanks, y'all. How's that? What? Okay, I'll speak up a little. Oh, perfect. So, howdy everyone. My name's Jordan, just recently moved to Ann Arbor, and I'm the co-founder of BotNot. So one of the things that we like to think about is, have you ever tried to buy concert tickets, sneakers, anything on the internet, but it's sold out instantaneously, and you always wonder, how is someone beating me to this? How is someone buying it, right? And unfortunately, to tell you, you are not being beaten by another person. You're actually beaten by a bot. So what a bot is it's just a programmatic or computer script, and it checks out a lot faster than we do, right? It checks out in 0.2 seconds. And basically why they're doing this is to buy the product and resell it on the secondary market. Taylor Swift is coming to Detroit. I can make money on that. These sneakers are being released. I can make money on that. Restaurant, COVID vaccinations, people are a little bit ruthless, but if you can make money on it, people are going to do it on the internet. And one of the really difficult things for retailers or brands is, how do I discern the difference between human or bot, right? On the internet, it's an IP, it's a credit card, it's a shipping address. How do I know if you're real or not? And this is really, really difficult for brands, because how do I know if I'm rewarding people? These limited release products, I want my fans to come. I want people to really come to buy my shows, right? My loyal fans. And so what's pretty fascinating for us is, outside of this high heat product, basically anything with a discount is being essentially targeted by bots from an arbitrage perspective. Like here, this is a toaster oven from Target. So super not limited in demand, super not sexy product. But what they're doing is essentially scraping the internet for birthday discount, promotion codes, anything to buy at an arbitrage perspective. So on here, this example, the MSRP is 85 bucks. But if I can buy it with a discount, I think it's a 25% discount. So it comes out to a little below 60. And if I sell between 60, 65 bucks, I'm making $5 a toaster, right? I can buy 100 toasters and I can make 500 bucks. And one of the nice things from a bot perspective is, in e-commerce, really to make a lot of sales, you have to have that trust and affinity. And in order to do that is having like a refund policy. So when you say 0 out of 10 risk, there's 0 risk because if I buy all the toasters and whatever I don't sell, I just ship back. And then the brand themselves has to pay for the shipping costs, the restocking costs, and the remarketing costs. So it's really, really impactful for brands because it costs a lot of money. And a lot of times when you actually get a product shipped back, you're actually losing money. And so what BotNot does at a high level, and this is what the marketplace looks like today, right? Hey, if there's a product out there that we want to buy, it's really whoever gets there first can buy the product, right? And bots are so much quicker than humans that bots are going to be able to buy them. Then you have your sad customers, right? The people you really care about. And so what BotNot does at a high level is basically in real time, we rank every transaction between 0 and 100. 0 being most human and 100 being most bot, most reseller. And based off how you test on that scale, we either allow you to check out from an inventory perspective, or we don't allow you to check out your cart, right? So if we see someone going through and we say, okay, these guys have low scores, they're a very human tendency. And all this is happening in real time without the need for CAPTCHA or any of that stuff, because all these bots are getting around CAPTCHA today. And so, hey, you know what? We know that these humans are there and, you know, we want to sell all of our products. Hey, you know what? Let's just sell the rest of the bots and let them buy the products so we can sell everything. And so kind of where we are today is one of the things that we're establishing is essentially discerning good versus bad consumers. Good consumers are, you know, people that are trying to buy the product, you know, advocates of the brand. Bad consumers are bots, resellers, people that are conducting fraud. And what we realized while we're doing that is we're creating the foundation for a really important thing of trusting your inbound data. Because a lot of people use their transactional data, they use all these clicks and assume that these are consumers. A lot of these people are not consumers, right? 40% of the internet traffic are bots. So how do we start to discern, hey, what should I look at and who should I target from my data, which I'm just taking as a raw data form? So a couple things that we're starting to do is building segmentation. So one of the really important things we're looking at is lifetime value, or LTV. So once we know, you know, who's human versus who's bot, who should we prioritize within that human, right? Let's prioritize consumers with our highest lifetime value, most likelihood to evangelize the product, most likely to spend. And a couple ways that we're interested in doing it is the notion of like dynamic discounting, right? Hey, if I know you're on our website, you've spent X amount of time, because what happens today is you go to the website, you get a, hey, here's 10% off, immediately you go there. Is that really the right time to be doing that? Is that really dynamic? Do they really want 10%? Do they want 15? Do they need 5? So how can we start using those lifetime value, understanding how you're interacting with the e-commerce store to provide discounts that are applicable and in real time? The fourth one is kind of around invite-only checkouts. So instead of having a click race, everyone coming to my site and whoever's the fastest wins, why can't I curate my data and say, you know, which clients will have the biggest increase on LTV, and say, hey, here's a special link that you can only buy to go buy this product. Instead of having people come to us, we can be more proactive from a brand and reward our loyalist customers. And then the last one is kind of around bots. Hey, I want to sell my products, but if it's a bot buying my product, like in this example for Target, okay, you can use a discount code. We can nullify the discount code, change and say, hey, you can't return the product and you have to pay full MSRP. We're all happy, and we're putting you as a bot in a tricky situation because you're also doing some nefarious activities for us. And so kind of just a lay of the land, we're actually releasing our product in 2 weeks. We have about 8 beta customers now. We're slowly starting to grow. We're being very kind of cautious with who's consuming it, just because we want to make sure that we're getting embedded feedback from everyone. And yeah, we have some cool roadmap items, and just really excited to be connecting with the larger Ann Arbor community. So thank you. Yeah, so the interesting thing is we see the sneaker resale and streetwear resale market is a $30 billion market, or will be by 2030. So we're even going for like a small percentage, a 1% of that, and it's still a $300 million market. And so that's where we're also expanding outside of bots with kind of into this data segmentation place, and we see it kind of growing. So from a rough TAM perspective, we're not entirely sure what exactly the TAM is, because it's constantly changing. Yeah. So the CAPTCHA market's pretty small because Google has an enabled CAPTCHA button. And so it's not too small from a lucrative perspective. And what bots do, and it basically like they're professional organizations. So what they do is they actually farm out CAPTCHA tests, to low cost countries and have them, click, humans actually go through and click all of these things. So when a bot actually faces it, they can jump through it, no problem. They probably get through it faster than I do. So what we do from a false positive perspective is right now we are not actually in the notion of proactive. Like if there's an act or a transaction going through, we wait on the admin to say, hey, do I want this to go through or not go through? Like we will always have, false positives, but right now we're kind of operating at a 94% efficiency rating. So it's been quite strong. And we know that with fraud or anything along those lines, you're never going to be 100%. And to be in the mid 90s is a solid goal for us. Yeah. We're doing well with detecting humans. We have a much higher efficacy with that. From a bot perspective, they're constantly thinking and learning, and like sometimes we process them as human, even though they're bots and we don't know just because we didn't detect it or we had no idea. So I think our goals for growth, right now we have 8 beta clients. Our goal is to get to 20 by January, but I wouldn't say our goal is very much like a specific client number, but our goal is to get more product market fit or validation from these consumers. What kind of product do you think what kind of product do you want us to build that would something that you can use, and addressing kind of 2 use cases. One is around kind of the bot protection side, and the other one is really around the data segmentation side. So obviously we want to grow, but we're more focused on keeping it closed, really having a close relationship and building the necessary products before saying, I want 100 clients, 200 clients. That to us right now is something we'll figure out later. Yeah, like I think one of the things, so like this whole notion around data segmentation and how that works today, like for example, it's like if I send promotion codes out, or let's say I have a client that only buys stuff with the discount code, right? So they're very cost sensitive. So instead of sending them high end luxury products, I need to send them discount codes. And what works today is having that discernment at an individual level is super, super manual. And there's too much data, so businesses can't do it. So that's one of the things. So basically, since we're working at a transactional level, we're working at an individual client level. And so that's feedback that we got from some of our clients saying, hey, this is a really big pain point. How can you plug into Quelvio? How can you help us be more dynamic in changing these things so we know how to target our clients? So that was, probably the biggest kind of feedback we've gotten from them so far, is like saying, okay, this is great. Like you're helping us sort our data, but help us take it a step forward. Right now, it's 4 of us. We're kind of all co-founders, and we're also doing this part-time, hopefully converting to full-time soon. And then we have 3 contractors. Oh yeah, we're a natively embedded Shopify app. So it's just an application you install in Shopify. I think my ass is 1, excited to be here. Just recently moved to Ann Arbor. 2, if you guys, I'm looking just to connect. If anyone knows anyone in e-commerce, DTC, or anything running online, would love just to chat and connect.
Introduce our last speaker tonight, Arnold Kadiu. Yeah, I'm 3 for 3 with last names. He's one of the co-founders of Intermode. Intermode is building a modular robotic delivery platform to enable the future of goods delivery. So help me welcome Arnold to the stage.
All right, so while the slides are getting up, I'll just introduce myself real quick. My name is Arnold Kadiu, and out here we also have Lita Daler and Ann Larson, my other co-founders. Really excited to be here and talk to you all, so thank you. Okay. Right. Oh, okay. Sneak peek here. All right. All right, great. So if we take a second to look at the field of logistics and mobility today, and you look at all these great companies, these huge companies, they all have something in common. They all have something in common. The thing that they have in common is that they have a hardware enabler to get the business off the ground. These businesses don't start with a fully vertically integrated approach. They start somewhere else. They have these established companies that provide them with the tools to scale easily while they're focusing on their core differentiators. But if we go look at driverless delivery, they don't have that. Essentially, what they're doing is it's as if FedEx was building the truck before they ever delivered a vehicle. And this is not the right way to go. And we believe that if this is the way the industry continues to go, it will never succeed. Because to even start something like this, you need millions of dollars in development. You need a huge engineering team, and it compromises your vision and what you're trying to accomplish. You're not focused on how do I best deliver these products? How do I best service my customer? You're thinking about your hardware first, and then thinking about the customer, and then thinking about the logistics. And it really jumbles it up. And so what we really want to do is we're building the modal, which is this one singular platform, which is aimed to capture endless opportunities in the space. And so it starts with a modular EV platform, which is built like a car, right? We're calling it a skateboard because it really is built like a very small, durable car. From there, we make sure that it is flexible to everyone's needs, make it easy to attach to, easy to build on top. And lastly, we know that because this is going to be used for a core business application, it needs to be extremely low cost to operate. And the way we work with our customers is through a hardware as a service model. And we believe this is the right approach to best target our customers. So it starts with them paying us a low monthly fee every month. And in return, we provide on this platform, we provide all of the service, updates, support, and take care of the vehicle over time. And then our customers go and actually operate this in the field. They take care of storing it. They take care of how they operate and integrate with their customers. And so really, for the customer, there's a lot of advantages here. One, it's a lot cheaper. They spend a lot less upfront and a lot less as they're going and operating the business. Two is that they have a lot of flexibility to focus on their main business. They don't have to go around and say, well, I need to try to do everything. They can focus on the core things that make their business special. And three, they're actually aligned with us as their supplier. They don't have to worry about, am I just trying to squeeze as much margin as possible from them at the very beginning? They know that every single time I want their business to grow because that's how I make money. That's how we go ahead and grow our businesses. We want them to be more successful, to lease more units and to grow from there. But hardware as a service is more than just financial engineering. It also changes how the product itself is designed. We can design the product to be environmentally friendly. We can design the product for lowest cost over the entire life cycle, not just lowest cost when you buy it. It's a very different approach than, let's say, a cell phone or something like that. We are just trying to have it last a year, then you want them to buy another one. We want our customers to only lease it once and use that same vehicle for as long as humanly possible. And so we design and engineer it to work that way. And this market is not getting any smaller. It's growing rapidly. Food delivery is growing at an immense pace at 15% per year. And these vehicles are really necessary if we want to see this industry keep growing and really serve as a low-cost advantage over the existing options right now. And we think that even if you took the 2020 market right now, there's a $3.5 billion market just for our vehicles alone, just servicing some percentage of that delivery right now, that your Uber Eats, your DoorDashes, your things like that. But if we keep growing, we can see a $6 billion business by the end of 2025. This industry will continue to grow. And again, this is only food delivery. Our platform is designed to be modular, but we focused on food as our first target customer because it's the one that's most established in the field. Because we see ourselves, again, as a platform for these other businesses to grow. A Shopify, not really, a Shopify to enable these businesses to build on top and really build their business from there. And so, like I said, our founding team is uniquely capable of doing this. So myself, I have a lot of experience in Ford research, designing EV platforms and working with autonomous vehicles. Lita was on the autonomous vehicle business team, working a lot with the Ford customers in terms of understanding what they need in their space and what they don't need. And Ann did a lot of EV and electrical calibration of understanding how to actually interface, a human would interface with the vehicle and making it repeatable and easy to use. And so we've done a lot this year. So we started this year and we've built a number of prototypes, one of which is back there in the corner. We've they've been on the road testing. So we've been very excited. We've been talking to customers, understanding their needs, understanding what they need out of the platform, and sort of keep going along. That's a picture of the modal by the U of M robotics research building. So as we were driving around Ann Arbor. And sort of, our mission is to democratize delivery. And so people say, okay, what does that actually mean? How does that actually work? So think this more of like a go-to-market strategy. But our first step is to really work with these robotics companies and be their hardware supplier. Again, especially in existing markets right now, right? Your food delivery spaces primarily. And so what we want to do is work with them and say, hey, don't worry about developing the EV platform anymore. We'll do that. You just worry about how you're going to target your customers, how you're going to drive them around, how you're going to develop your autonomy. From there, we hope to grow and expand the field and say, okay, here's just a modular chassis. What do you got? What does the field want to build with it? Do you want to build automated snowplows? Do you want to build automated lawnmowers? What have you? We don't know what the possibilities are. And if we take a fully vertically integrated approach, we will miss out on the opportunities. And lastly, what we want to do is say, okay, why don't we just bring people together? There will be people who will specialize in the same way you look at commercial vehicles where Ford might make the underlying chassis, but someone else makes the body that goes on top of it, someone else operates it there. And so there's going to be people who specialize over time of providing just purely autonomy or providing purely one aspect of the vehicle. And so we want to help facilitate that, again, as long as it's on our platform, because that's how we make money, that's how we grow. And sort of what we're looking for in these next steps is we're hoping to raise a seed round sometime around February. So we'd like some feedback and advice on the slides and anything that we might be missing in here. There's some things about the pure financials of the business we've sort of left out of this presentation. Two, we're also looking to get help on the business. The big thing that we really need is context into the embedded resource world. It's just finding embedded engineers a quite difficult task and has embedded experience, but we need more as we start to grow. Also just interns and help with just manufacturing itself. We are a manufacturing focused company. We make, I'd say 85% of the things ourselves. We really are focused on that aspect of being a differentiator, being US made to supply these US businesses as it grows. And the last thing is media, right? You can tell I didn't make this slide. We really want to have more video of the modal operating out in the market, and we really could use help finding the right contacts. The three of us are engineers by training, so we're not we try our best, but really we need people more experienced in that field to help us out and really showcase what we've built and what we're capable of. And so with that, that's the total of the presentation. Any questions? So that really depends on whether or not we can gather a customer by the time we raise seed funding. So we're planning on two trajectories. What we think we need for a seed round is about $3 million is what we're aiming to raise for our seed round. So that's our target around to last us about 19 months. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's actually, yeah, it's a 4-wheel drive. It's got a full suspension on it. It's pretty tough. We've done some durability testing on it on machine roads. So yeah, it's fully operational. We have a rudimentary teleop setup that we've been doing for our own testing, but obviously a customer would likely use not their own system. Most of them use a pre-made system from Phantom Auto or BotNot, or there's a variety of other teleoperation systems that they use. Yes. So there's two sustainable competitive advantages. One is the lease model in itself, right? That you can capture these customers early on so they don't develop a hardware team. But the second one, which is really to protect from Chinese competitors coming in, is that sheer difference of point of sale margin versus a lifetime margin approach, right? If you think about any consumer product we buy today, it's designed to fail at a certain point, right? It's designed to maximize, you want your 20% gross margin per unit, what have you, and you throw away the entire unit at once. That's how it works. But if we take a different approach of how we engineer the vehicle and we think about it from, this is a utility for the customer, then we can start re-engineering it to last differently. So let's say the axle can last 2 or 3 generations. So we don't want to keep throwing away the axle every time. We make that last a long time, but maybe the tires only last half a customer cycle. We need to change out the tires. And so part of our competitive advantage is by centralizing our service and providing it as a lease, we can really optimize on that lowest cost per mile, which is really what the customers care about, right? If you think about the long-term customer, the customer right now cares about the upfront CapEx expense, but the long-term customer really cares about minimizing their cost per mile. And we want to make sure, again, we're aligned on minimizing that long cost per mile versus a competitor who's trying to just purely sell the product. They'll be focused on maximizing margin at point of sale, not really how it lasts long-term. Yeah. I would be, except I know the history of how hard it is to make something cheaper. It's very easy to make something much more expensive, more complicated, but it's very hard to move downstream in your engineering process. There is some concern that an OEM can just outspend us, like until we're sort of pummeled in submission. But we have a couple patents in terms of how some of the things we've done, in a way that's lowers the cost tremendously. But that is a concern, but they'd have to spend a lot more money, orders of magnitude more money to really get to the same phase. One customer we've been talking to essentially did that. They went to an automotive prototyper and they spent much more than that 1.2 million. And so we know that if they're going to go down that path, it's going to be a high cost endeavor until they get true economies of scale. You can go to the website and there's an input form there, or add any one of us on LinkedIn, or email me at arnold@intermode.io. Either any of those work. Mm-hmm. I think actually something like BrightDrop is a perfect opportunity, because if they recognize that's a need that their customers want, right? And if they want it immediately, they're much more likely to partner with us to go and enable that in the market and just capture an additional margin on top of it, rather than trying to build up the entire stream, right? Now, they could still go for that, but that would be more of our hope. There's another company based out of Arbor called Interplay, and they're aiming to do something similar to BrightDrop with delivery robots. So. Yeah. So for a lot of those, we let the customer handle it, right? We're essentially giving them a tool for them to use. But for part of that UX design aspect, what we've told our customers is exactly this: is either you can use what we have off the shelf, right? And you tell us where you want cameras and sensors, and we'll put them in, right? Or tell us what you want design-wise, and we'll be your ODM, or your original design manufacturer, so to speak, to sort of customize it to you want. Because the brunt of the cost of any vehicle, of any platform, is what's underneath, right? If you look at any vehicle that you drive today, the majority of the costs are the wheels, the suspension, the motors, the batteries. It is not the plastic that you sit in and the seats that you sit in. Those are all low cost compared to everything underneath. And so we're happy to customize the top of it for a customer, as long as, again, that core foundation is something we're using. And so actually, I think we have, in this presentation, I think the slide after the last one. Yeah. A backup slide in terms of like our landscape of the industry, who we're looking at. So really, we don't see a lot of these companies as competitors. We see them as potential customers, as people we can work with to sort of enable their growth and success. And so that's really what we're looking at. The competitors really in this space are Segway. So Segway makes, back from their old military days, they make a cheaper version of it. The RMP 400, it's really low cost thing. To make any customizations on it, it's $400,000, and then you're on your own. It's not very capable. You have Neolix, which is we would say the only true competitor in our space. So they make a Neuro copycat, and then they sell it to companies out in Europe. So that's their current business. So we've been talking to Refraction out of Arbor a lot. So they've been a good touch point for a lot of things. We've also been talking to a few other companies who do exactly this. Interestingly, we've actually seen some traction on the platform itself. We've had a couple articles written about us in a couple food robotics blogs, and customers reaching out from Sweden looking at, hey, if I just get the platform, how do I integrate with it? How does it work? Unfortunately, we don't know how we do the hardware as a service model to Sweden, so we've still been talking about it. But it's very interesting that some companies do see the benefit of, hey, I want to do something robotic. I need some sort of platform to do it, but I don't want to make it from scratch because that's really expensive. I really don't have the capital to do so. Cool. Thank you.
So that concludes our presentation tonight. So let's give another round of applause for our presenters. We're going to move into the community announcements portion. So as I mentioned at the top, if you are either trying to hire or you have a service or a product that you'd like to kind of mention to the group, feel free to queue up. Please don't trip on any of the wires. Come up here and share it. I'll start by sharing the quick announcement that our December meetup is canceled just because it's the week of Christmas, and I'm sure none of you want to be here. So our next A2NewTech meeting is January 18th. So I hope to see everybody there in the New Year's. And thank you for everybody for coming out to celebrate our, join here to roll out the last A2NewTech with this group here. And yeah, if you have anything to announce, feel free to come up to the stage.
Like I'm the official Ann Arbor Spark stand-in. I am not with Ann Arbor Spark, but for those of you who are looking for jobs, you saw Ryan speak earlier for Repurpose. Shout out to Ryan. They're doing great work. Ann Arbor Spark is doing Tech Homecoming next Wednesday. And so especially for folks in startup land, that's a great opportunity. It is hybrid, in person or virtual, just to get an idea as to what the local tech scene here entails. Cede it to the next person.
Yeah, that event sounds like a lot of fun next week, too. But it's the biggest bar night of the year, right? So, I mean, how do you choose between the two? You do one after the other. Yeah, that's a great idea. My name is Michael Spath, and I work for Kaepernick Insurance Group here in Ann Arbor, Troy, Adrian, Grand Rapids, and we do a lot of tech insurance. Listening to you guys all had great presentations today. Really impressed. If you can help my wife get Taylor Swift tickets because it's not going to a bot, that would be awesome. And I just, want to introduce myself. Technology is very different insurance world than say a retail or a brewery or a lot of other things. You guys have very different needs. Errors and omissions coverage. You're talking about seeding, getting your financial, investors, D&O insurance is really important. Even mention your thing, the fact that you're going to be leasing your vehicle instead of selling it to means that you're always going to have that liability on your shoulders. And you can't transfer that liability to your customers. So there's a lot of very interesting things when it comes to technology versus, I'm going to go to a restaurant after this and they have a very different needs. So happy to help talk to you guys about any of those things. And then you're talking about media too. I'm really close to something called Startup Nation. It's hosted by a guy named Jeff Sloan out of Detroit. And he has podcasts every week where he interviews small business entrepreneurs. And he's always looking for great small businesses to interview on his podcast. He and I do a podcast together. And I'm happy to connect anybody to Jeff. It's a great connection and he's a great guy. So thanks.
Hey everyone, Steve Sherman, entrepreneur, live in the area, currently working on a new solar related endeavor that basically helps solar customers use more of their energy in their house versus importing dirty grid electricity. Super early stage with a co-founder. So if anyone has a passion or interest for solar, renewables, energy, come talk to me and we'll just get the conversation started and go from there.
My name is Yuba Shida. The first time being here, really very nice meeting everyone. Important things, I would like to give this one season's greetings to each of you. Most important, you have information back with our company, Join Lu International. And our company actually restructured this March, the same as most of you, and as a new type of company. What we are doing, we build a platform for experts, scientists, engineers, especially to fill the gap between academic and the industry. And I won't talk too much, but please take a card from me. Thank you.
That will conclude A2NewTech tonight. Again, the next one will be on January 18th, 2022. If you're interested in pitching yourself, feel free to talk to me afterwards or shoot me an email at hein@a2newtech.org. Feel free to hang out for a while. We should be having some pizza delivered in a minute or two. But thank you for coming out. We really appreciate it. Hope I see you guys again soon. And happy early Thanksgiving to everybody.